I-35F just found out my boyfriend, 36M, slept with his stepsister. Hi everyone, I'm so lost and not sure if I'm overreacting or not. I've been with my boyfriend for over 5 years, and I-35F just found out my boyfriend, 36M, slept with his stepsister many times years ago. We are all on a family trip together right now, his mom, dad, stepbrother, stepsister, and a bunch of other relatives. And this is the second time I'm meeting his stepsister. He was absolutely wasted last night, and I was telling him how much I like his stepsister, and he continued by telling me I should dress like her, which I thought was a little strange. Then I said, "Sounds like you have a thing for your sister," and he came out and told me over 15 years ago, him and her slept together many times. He kept mentioning it last night as if he was proud of what he did, and it was a bit repulsive to me. Apparently no one knows in his family, and only his best friend knows about what happened. Now I honestly can barely look at him. I feel so beyond disgusted, and I am second-guessing our entire relationship. We have 3 more days on this family vacation, and I want to book an earlier flight and go home. I am also an only child, so I'm not sure how abnormal any of this is, but I feel shallow for judging him this negatively about the situation. I would love some insight from others. I'm so torn and feel like this trip has now been ruined. All right, Susan girl, I got you. I'm gonna give you some advice. Now, first off, what the boyfriend did, was it illegal? No, but just because something's not illegal doesn't mean you should do it. No, that is sus, all right? Like, this guy, actually, he caught on to the stepsister trend before the internet did, I think. Oh, that's gross. If she wants to leave this man, go for it. She shouldn't have to apologize for feeling disgusted, because what he did is not a normal thing. It's a weird thing, dare I say an unhealthy thing. So she is allowed to leave him, and she should not feel bad about it at all. The guy was bragging about it. And then he said to his wife, or girlfriend, pardon me, that she should dress like his stepsister more. So he's still thinking about tapping that. Ugh, gross. Next story. Story number 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that her husband is having an affair? I, 17F, have a sister, 25F, married to James, 38M. This happened about a week ago. I was with my friend and we were having lunch in a restaurant. Then we saw James with another woman. Normally, I thought that this was his friend, but she was being very clingy. It looked like they were on a date. The woman was whispering something in his ears. I felt disgusted. I wanted to confront him there, but my friend said to lay low and start recording so that we can have proof. We recorded everything. After leaving the restaurant, I went straight to my sister's place. I sat her down and showed her the video, and instead of crying, she got angry and started accusing me of ruining her marriage. She screamed profanities at me and said that I'm jealous of her. It's not true. I always want what is best for her. I tried to explain my side, but she kicked me out. I noticed that she blocked me everywhere. Yesterday, my mom came into my room and asked me what did I do, and my sister was pissed off and told mom that I was trying to break up her marriage. I told mom everything. She was disappointed and said she will talk to her. I haven't heard from her or James. My mom told me to not contact her now. My dad doesn't know anything, and I just don't know what I did wrong. I was only looking out for her. I was just trying to be a good sister to her. Then the general consensus in the comment section was that OP was not the a-hole. Here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "Not the a-hole. Maybe they're swingers and she's shy, or maybe she thinks she's got a man out of her league and letting him disrespect her is the only way to keep him. I'm hoping they're swingers though." Then OP replied with, "If anything, James got a girl who is out of his league. My sister is very pretty and educated. He has been divorced before and engaged 2 times before he met my sister." OP, then it sounds like she's maybe overwhelmed with internal fighting. And even if she's this catch, things can still be shaky, and she lashed out at you because things are shaky. It's very confusing why she would get mad at you. Is there any additional info we are missing? Do you and your sister normally get along? Lashing out at you was wrong. You were simply trying to inform her of something that presumably any person would want to know. I do have a theory. She didn't tell Dad, and Dad never approved of her relationship with James due to the age gap. This could be the reason. Update. Thank you all for the comments and support. And for those of you who suggested that I should have sent her the video anonymously, I don't think so. I mean, she is my sister. I can expect her to believe me. Anyways, yesterday my sister came to our house with her bags. She had left James. I was in my room but was eavesdropping. My mother was consoling her while she cried. As far as I know, she will be divorcing James. Then she came into my room and apologized. She said that she was already suspicious because of James hiding his phone a lot, but my proof had made her suspicions come true. She reacted badly. She wanted it to be false because she fought the entire world to be with him. Really? That guy, sis? She even fought Dad, and Dad was right about him. Dad warned her that he is manipulative, and she is way too young to be married to him. She was 20. They were thinking about having children, and I am glad she left him. We talked for hours. This was the first time in 5 years we talked and spent time like this. I always felt that she distanced herself from us, and moreover, I'm glad Dad didn't slap the "I told you so" on her face. He was extremely supportive of her decision to leave and never spoke about their fights they had before she got married. I am really happy. I got my sister back. She and I had a sleepover. We talked crap about James and cried a lot. I am not mad at her anymore. I know what she did was wrong, but I get where she was coming from. P.S. Dad did know about it. Mom told him the minute my sister called. I guess I was wrong about that. In fact, it was Dad who went to her house to help her pack her things. Here are some more relevant comments. User 2 said, "It is not always easy to do the right thing, but it is always the right thing to do. I'm glad it worked out for your sister. I hope she finds happiness and healing, and that the two of you support each other and grow closer. Stand by her. She is only at the beginning of her journey, and there will be many hard days ahead." I hope this is a quick and easy divorce for her. My dad already threatened that he would break James's arms if he came close to my sister. Hopefully, he won't make any trouble. Here are some relevant comments. This girl was 20 years old when she married a 33-year-old man. Oh, holy age gap. Dad, I think you were onto something. But you know what? My wife is 14 years older than me, and we get along great. I don't have a wife. I'm lying. But anyway, good for OP's sister. She realized that James was like, this ain't for me. He had like 18 failed relationships or something like that. And she had a bit of a bad reaction, but it seems like it was denial. And it all worked out in the end, and the sisters bonded, and hopefully they ate some ice cream as they trash-talked James. But anyway, what do you guys think? Next story. Story number 3. I had a baby as a result of an affair, and now his wife is reaching out to me. I, F26, had an affair with a married man, M42, a few years ago. I had no clue he was married when we first met and hooked up. I obviously looked him up on social media, and while he did have photos of his kids on there, there was absolutely no mention or photos of a wife at all. I found out that he was married about a month after we first got together, but he told me it was just a marriage on paper and that they basically lived separate lives, and agreed to remain married for practical purposes until the kids were older. They owned a business, which she really ran, and he was just financially involved in. I knew at the time that I probably shouldn't believe him, but I convinced myself it was true. I was in my early 20s and was so attracted to him, and I guess almost infatuated with him. He made me feel so good. I now know that I should have ended it immediately, but I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I was addicted to all of the attention he gave me, the great sex, the places he would take me. I felt special. I was so naive. I got pregnant about a year into seeing him. I had always been so careful with preventing pregnancy, but during my relationship with him, I took stupid risks. I was so high in lust with this guy, it's embarrassing. The things he'd ask me to do. I'd say yes to almost anything, even when I knew it was a bad idea. I was in love with him, or I thought I was. I hadn't intentionally wanted to get pregnant. I would of course dreamt about being his wife and having a family, but I knew that wouldn't be a possibility while he had this arrangement with his actual wife. I didn't get pregnant on purpose with any intention of him leaving her for me, even if I wished that we could be a real normal couple. I was surprised by how excited I was to be pregnant with his baby. I wanted that baby once I found out I was pregnant. The thought of carrying this baby of the man that I loved was so special to me, but I knew he probably wouldn't feel the same. I told him I was pregnant, and he told me I couldn't keep the baby. I expected his reaction, but I was devastated, and it hurt me to my core that he didn't feel the same way I did. He offered to pay, to make a whole weekend of it somewhere exciting, what? And to buy me something special if I'd just please get rid of the baby. He explained that he didn't want any more kids, and that he couldn't openly be a father to another another kid when he and his wife were still pretending to be happily married to the outside world. I agreed to do what he wanted, and we made plans for him to pick me up and find somewhere out of town to go get it done. I was all packed the night he was going to pick me up, but I started to feel really scared and really unsafe about the whole thing. I took my bag and checked myself into a hotel to hide because I couldn't go with him. I texted him to say I promised to never contact him again and to never name him as the father or go after child support if he'd promised to leave me alone. At first, he tried to sweet talk me into doing what he wanted. When I didn't cave in, he said some very nasty things to me and that I essentially better never contact him again or show up at his door. And now, I have a 2-year-old. At times, it's been difficult, but overall, we are thriving as best we can. I have kept my word about not naming him as the father or requesting child support. His wife contacted me on social media. Well, she's his ex-wife now. She wants to talk to me. She found out about me and told me that she divorced him 6 months ago. She wants her children to know their sibling and for my child to know his siblings. That feels weird to me. I haven't responded back to her yet. I am unsure about how to approach this. How do I respond to this? I wonder if I'm being selfish by not exploring an option for my child to know his siblings, if she's being genuine about that. If I was married and my husband fathered a child outside of our marriage, I don't think I'd feel the same way she does. Then OP provided some more information in the comments section. I didn't know he was married when we first got together. I acknowledged that I should have ended the relationship as soon as I found out he was married. I allowed myself to believe what he told me, which made it seem not so bad, like this was some sort of agreement he and his wife had. Emotionally, I was already hooked. I'm not making excuses. I wouldn't say I was happy to bring a baby into this situation. There was a huge mix of emotions. I felt like I was in love with him, so there was a part of me that was excited at first. That feeling soon died, but I felt that I loved my baby still. I tried to do the best thing that I could, which was to remove myself from his life and his family's life. I just wanted to be able to keep my baby and love my baby. I did not get pregnant on purpose. I wasn't on birth control. I had been on birth control when I was slightly younger and had a life-threatening health complication as a result. He knew I wasn't on it. He loved unprotected sex. I was stupid and I agreed to it. I would do almost anything he asked for in the bedroom. I tried to track my cycle and would tell him when it was probably not a safe time to do it. His wife isn't really what I'm afraid of. Whatever she'd want me to say is probably deserved anyway and more. Comment number 2. He found out about the pregnancy before I ghosted him. And upon finding out I was pregnant with his child, there was absolutely no real discussion about what we were going to do. The plan was just to do what he wanted to do, and he had it all planned out. He threatened me by text and by phone calls and voicemails when I told him I was not going to go with him on this abortion vacation he had planned. I begged him to please not force me to do that, and he turned mean. I offered to never contact him again if he'd just let me go. After threatening me again about what he'd do if I didn't keep my word, he agreed. He kept his side of the bargain and has never contacted me since. Comment number 3. I've been assuming that she found out about me in her town, maybe saw something on his phone or computer, and is probably known for a while before reaching out to me, if it's actually her. I get what some people are saying about siblings and such, but that man is not my child's dad. He is the dad of his older kids, but he's not the dad of my kid. I'm still young, and I hope to have more children one day, and those children would be my son's siblings. I hope to find a man who loves me and my son and with whom I can have a legitimate relationship with. I haven't been with another man since I ended things with this guy. I actually just went on 2 dates for the first time very recently. I'm not desperate to find a man right now, but I hope to find real love one day. Those people are not my son's family. He's 2 and they are old enough to drive, so I don't think they're missing out on any sort of important relationship right now. I understand wanting to know your biological family, and I feel like he can decide that later on when he's old enough to have a day. Depending on where we are at in our lives at the time, he might not feel a need to know those people. I don't plan to lie to my son about his conception, but I don't think we need to involve ourselves with the man's ex-wife and teenage children at this time. Update: on Friday night, I decided to message her. I don't really know why. I think it was really just for my sake, so I could have the chance to apologize to her. I told her that I would be more comfortable speaking with her face to face, since I couldn't trust that it was really her. She said she understood. I was too nervous to meet her in person, but we did a video chat. I didn't know what to expect, if this was all a ploy just to unleash her fury on me or what. I mean, I'd deserve that. She wouldn't be wrong to feel that way. And it was really her. She told me she discovered our affair when she found communications between the two of us, after our relationship had ended. She told me that I am one of many women he had affairs with over the years, and she knew about somebody even before he met me, but she didn't divorce him at the time. Finding out about my child was the final straw for her. I told her I was sorry for my relationship with her husband and admitted that I knew he was married. She graciously told me she forgives me and that while she harbored a lot of anger towards me initially, she ultimately blames her husband. I'm not blameless, but she chooses not to hate me, essentially. She said she couldn't have said this 6 months ago or over a year ago when she first found out about me, but she has moved past that. She still has anger towards him, in addition to many other emotions surrounding him. She started pouring out her heart to me about their 20-plus year marriage and life together, and it was very awkward because what do I even say? Her kids know about me and my son. She says that they are very mad at their father. Somehow, I don't think they're mad about the fact that he's not involved with my son's life. And why would they be mad about that? I would hate me if I were them. I told her, with my son being so little right now, I don't really feel comfortable with him meeting her kids or being involved with their family. I feel unsure about it, and it's just not something I feel needs to happen right now. Then she told me that her ex-husband was in a bad accident 2 months ago. He's fine now, but still not allowed to return to all of his normal activities just yet. But he will be fine. He was probably the most physically active person I had ever met. He barely ever seems to sit down, so he must be terribly annoying to be around if he's not allowed to go all the time. She told me she wants to meet my son. Apparently, she moved back in with him temporarily when he first came home from the hospital. She said the accident really shook him up, and he has been expressing a lot of regret about my son, not being involved, not providing for him. So now it's like, was everything she said just a lie and he somehow got her to reach out to me on his behalf? And she actually did it? It feels like a relief talking to her initially, but then it's like, was any of that true, or were you just trying to be his messenger? I don't even know if that part is true now. Why wouldn't he just contact me himself? I'm feeling so uneasy about the whole thing now. Then OP went to elaborate in the comment section again. Comment 1. I don't believe I have to involve his teenage children in my son's life. Maybe when my son is old enough to decide if he wants that. As for the father, he is not named on the birth certificate, and I do not receive child support from him. I have asked nothing of him, except to let me move away and not try to force me to have an abortion. I basically had to compromise him to not contact my son, not make him as the father, not request child support. If he truly wants involvement with my son, he can reach out to me directly, and he can take the legal route to establish himself as our son's father. Then OP made a second comment that said, he did not legally sever his rights. He never established rights in the first place. He has no rights until he goes to court and establishes himself as the father. He is welcome to do that. Honestly, I wish my son did have a father who was involved in his life and loved him. Yes, this guy has faults, but he has plenty of positive qualities. He is really involved with his older children. I met them many times because they'd be at work with him, or he'd have to drop by the office in his way to take them somewhere. He was always doing things with them. They seemed like good kids who really loved their dad. I wish my son could have that experience too. I don't think it was an option based on how he behaved when I was pregnant. He wasn't interested and wanted me and our baby to go away. That's what I did, and I accepted it. And finally, OP made a third comment that said, he is not legally my son's father at this time. This means that currently he has no legal parental rights or responsibilities regarding my son. I cannot stop him from taking the legal steps to establish paternity if he wishes to do so. He will always be my son's biological father. I can't change that fact. Regardless of whether or not he ever legally establishes paternity, my son will likely be curious about his biological father, and who knows, maybe they will establish a relationship one day regardless of legal paternity. There is no way to say if I will meet a man who may want to adopt my son one day, thus becoming his legal father. It's something that I think would be nice, but nothing that I'm intent on doing. By choice, I've only been on 2 dates since my son was born, and that was only within the year 2024. I realize that it will not be as simple as signing a piece of paper. So what do you guys think about OP's course of action? Would you personally let the son meet the older relatives, half relatives? Would you introduce the son to the mom? Would you try and get in contact with the daddy or not? Would you have kept the kid? If you want to touch on that type of topic, go for it. I'm just curious. I don't know how I would react to this. Like she mentions like he seems like a good father, maybe not a good partner though. But I don't know. It's a tough thing, right? Like the kid should have a dad in his life, but the dad did a lot of wrong things. So I don't know how I would react to that. But if you guys have anything to share about this one, leave it in the comments. Next story. Story number 4. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted when my boyfriend confirmed that his ex was the right person, wrong time? My boyfriend and myself are in our late 20s and have been seriously together for 1 year now. We were hanging out with some of his friends and they fondly talked about his ex who he dated for over 4 years and broke up with because she got a job in a new city and then they broke up. I thought that everything was fine until a female friend told me that she heard my boyfriend say that his ex was the right person, wrong time, and cautioned me. When we got home, I asked him this and he confirmed that he said that, and I hated just how cavalier his response was. He said, sure, she was the right person at the wrong time, but I've moved on and I love you now. Like, he doesn't get it. I don't want to be someone he has to move on to. I don't see why he didn't see a problem with what he said. Sure, he might be faithful to me, but it gave me the ick that for him, that she's the one who got away. I told him all of my feelings, and he accused me of being insecure. I said that I needed some space to think about our relationship and whether I can continue being with someone who still considers an ex that one great love of his life and not his current partner. Am I the insecure one here? Look, I've been in relationships before, and yes, I did love them at the time, but meeting my current partner trumps all those past feelings, and I never had this philosophy that the right person breaks up with you, because I believe in the saying that if they wanted, they would. Makes it easier to move on. What he feels dents my trust in this relationship. It makes me feel like I'm not worthy of being his biggest love. Am I the a-hole? Now, here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, many people have the one that got away. That shouldn't in any way affect their love or feelings for those in their lives in the present. The problem is he verbalized that his ex was the right person for him to others and to his own partner. We are all allowed to have private feelings about who we thought we could have ended up with. In my case, I had a serious relationship too, and it also ended because of external factors, and I didn't want us to break up then, even if I thought they were the right person for me, so to speak. But I am glad we separated, because nothing trumps the feeling of gratitude of being with your current partner. The matter is, does he feel grateful looking back that he is no longer with her because he's with me? Because that's the only thing I care about at this point. I want alignment here. If he isn't glad he broke up with her, then it's a no-go for me. Then another user said, OP, what do you mean by that? Him not being glad is a no-go? You can be perfectly happy about a heartbreak you experienced in the past because a much better person came along. Speaking in hindsight, of course. I may not be happy when I was experiencing the heartbreak, but I am now happy that I experienced the heartbreak in the past because I found a better partner in my present. Time will tell if I really want to be with him given the shaky grounds here. You can be happy about sad events in the past if that led to much better outcomes. For example, you can be happy your dream company turned you down from a job because you found something even bigger and better, which you wouldn't have gotten had you not gone through the heartbreak of being rejected from that job. You can be happy that you got cheated on in the past because it saved you from building a life with that person. You can be happy you broke up with that boyfriend who dated you for 5 years and didn't propose to you because being in that relationship kept you from finding your husband. This isn't about being happy in the sense that you are all going out partying throughout as you're experiencing heartbreak, but making peace with the fact and knowing in your heart that you will always choose the present if given the choice to what reality you get to have. Then another user said, rom-coms where he winds up with the ex are based on less. You deserve to be his only choice. If we are really talking about rom-coms, all I want is that he sees himself in the third perspective. He should want to ship himself with me and not his exes. Like, not even say I ship myself with both A and B because both relationships have different strengths, etc. I don't want him to entertain any other girl in mind, even in that sense. Does that make sense? Then another user said, 100%. I also believe that they wouldn't have worked out. They let each other go because something was missing or they would have fought to stay together. Now, does he know that? I don't know. That is a very interesting way to think. He made it clear to me that he won't do long distance because he can't do it, and if I were to move away, he'd break up with me likely, just the way he and his ex broke up. If, let's say, the right woman came into his life, would she change this condition of his? Then another user commented, unsure of the context of him telling others, but OP, he only told you because you asked him. Would you have rather have him lie to you? I believe I did right by myself by asking him to confirm what he said, because what he said isn't appropriate when verbalized to his own partner, judging by the cavalier attitude he had. What matters the most is what he feels truly about me and what happened in his life. Maybe she's a nice girl who he once knew, but that's all she is to him now. And is he happy he is no longer with her because he gets to be with me as a consequence of that breakup? I doubt he feels that way. Then another commenter said, it isn't a competition. He can say he wished that he could have worked it out while being glad he ended up with you. Feelings are complex. Look at it this way. What if instead of them breaking up, she died? You wouldn't expect him to be glad that she died just because he is happy to end up with you. Unless he is saying he wants her back now, then it shouldn't be an issue. I actually don't prefer dating a widower for the same reasons. I don't think it's appropriate for him to wish that they worked out. And to elaborate on the widow thing, I feel that dating a widowed person comes with many challenges. Blurring and bending of many rules that are applicable in normal relationships, such as keeping photos, mementos, constantly talking about the late partner, etc., and those things make me uncomfortable. It's awful to wish that you're happy they died, and that's exactly the reason I stay away from dating people with that kind of baggage. I don't expect these people to wish they are happy that their partner died, and I shouldn't. But I can always wish someone with living exes to wish they are content with the fact that their previous relationship ended, and that those relationships ending is ultimately a good thing, because those ending allowed him to find me. OP, you need therapy because you're so insecure and trying to dictate how he feels. I can't control what he feels, but I can control who I choose to be with. That is why I made this post, to use it as a sounding board as to whether him and I have the same feelings about each other. I have no intention of changing his feelings, just exploring what matters to me and assessing whether he feels the same way, and deciding whether to break up or to continue. Update, next day. Hi guys, thank you everyone who participated here. I had already made up my mind about the relationship, however, I just wanted to use Reddit as a sounding board to confirm what most people think, and most of you agree with me. So I felt secure in my decision. He and I had a talk, and it was clear that we are not aligned in the sense in how we feel about past relationships ending. I asked him whether he thinks that things ending with his ex is a good thing, ultimately in hindsight, because that allowed him to find me. He disagreed with me, yet said he is happy he has me and loves me, but can't admit he is grateful for his past relationship ending. I just can't reconcile the two statements. It's too contradictory, and I find it will eat away at me if I stay in this relationship. So, we broke up. Like I said, I don't condemn him for how he feels, I simply think he isn't the man for me. Maybe he needs a girl who can understand him and probably has a history of being with someone she regrets leaving too. Anyway, some people tried to trick me into thinking I am the insecure one when I ironically was the one who proposed that first. But I remembered what my therapist said about boundaries and feelings. They are not right or wrong. They are personal to each person in each relationship, and if they work for two people, why would anyone outside of you two have the right to comment on that? Condescending therapy to anyone is a bad thing, because one of the most important reminders in therapy is you're there to figure out your own needs and feelings, rather than accept something that's unacceptable to you. My boundaries and feelings with the right person for me will clearly not harm anyone, as I have no intent to changing anyone's feelings or personality. I will walk away. So yes, I conclude I am not insecure. I am just a person with differing needs in a relationship who needs to find someone whose values align with mine. I'm not looking for a virgin or anything. I've had enough experience with heartbreak myself. I just want someone who only prefers to be with me regardless of how meaningful their past relationships were, and I will give them the same. Ooh, this was a meaty one. A lot of back and forth, and OP knew exactly what she was feeling, it seems like, but, came here just to make sure. I will say, though, I am in OP's camp. You guys are free to disagree. You guys are, I feel like this one might spark up some conversation if we get some good viewership on this one, but I see where she's coming from, right? If your partner is with you and isn't dedicated, isn't in it for the long haul, or you don't feel that dedication from them 100%, then why are you there? It feels like ultimately you're wasting your time because, if he's not 100% dedicated to OP, what if the other girl comes back into town? What if he gets relocated to a different town? Or what if they catch up or something like that? It seems like he still has some sort of feelings for the other woman. And I just agree with OP. And then there's also her philosophy on the widow thing, which is essentially just dating someone with a lot of baggage. So I'm curious, guys, would you date a widow? Would you marry a widow? Would you be romantically intertwined with a widow or a widower? I'm actually really curious about that one. But anyway, next story. Story number 5. My fiance wants to be a stay-at-home fiance. My fiance has proposed something that I have never heard of. We had a big argument and she felt like I was acting like an a-hole. I wanted to get an opinion on if what she is asking is a thing or not, and if it is something I should be worried about. I, 30M, recently got engaged to my fiance Emma, 26F, last month. Emma is amazing and we met at work. I am a researcher in a big tech firm, while Emma works in marketing. We met 2.5 years ago during a company event, and I was completely smitten by her. I asked her out, she said yes, and we have an amazing relationship so far. One of the things I love about Emma is how organized she is. Her job involves working on marketing events and event planning. She is great at it, and I am proud of her. However, her work also involves working longer hours, especially if she is helping in organizing events or meetups. Since my job is a desk job, I generally have very predictable hours and do not generally have to work late. She always complains about how I get to sit in a nice office while she is driving around everywhere and getting things done. I know this might come off poorly, but I am neurodivergent, ADD, and struggle with simple things. And this is one of the reasons why I love her, as I struggle with anything that requires organization. She is patient and makes my life better in many ways. We moved in together in the summer. She moved into my apartment. That was the first time we discussed finances openly. Due to some really lucky factors and stock value appreciation, I have a pretty good compensation package. She knew I was financially stable, but was shocked when she learned what I make. I was actually equally shocked at what she makes. It turns out I was making around 15 times more than her. I offered her to not pay anything and concentrate on saving to pay back her student debt, which was paused at the time. I own our apartment. However, she said that she also wanted to contribute, and we decided to split the expenses proportional to what we make, which I thought was fair. She has always been very independent and self-sufficient. Now, onto the issue. So, we got engaged around a month ago during the holidays. She had never asked me for anything expensive before. However, she wanted a specific diamond engagement ring that cost us close to $15K. I was not comfortable spending that, but she convinced me that she was going to wear it for the rest of her life, and hence it's worth it. We got it and she was very happy. Whenever she shows the ring to anyone, she often attempts to mention the cost of the ring in conversation. I feel extremely uncomfortable with showing off and have told her many times to stop. However, she continues doing it. Yesterday, I came home and she asked me to sit on the couch next to her. She said she wanted to talk about something important. She said that she is planning to quit her job next month and give her 15-day notice. I was shocked and asked her if anything was wrong. She said that she wants to plan the wedding and it is going to take a lot of time. We plan to get married in the summer, hence she wants to make sure she takes care of all the bookings soon. I asked her why she needed to quit her job for that, and she said that she was tired of working long hours and wanted to be a stay-at-home fiance. I laughed and told her that was not a thing. Plus, she still has tens of thousands of dollars of student loans. She argued that it was less than what I make in a month, and we are a team now, so she is not worried about it. I asked her what her plans were after the wedding, and she said that she had not planned what to do after that, but was glad I was with her. I told her that she could take a break, but I am not comfortable with her just abandoning her career at such a young age, especially since we are not planning to have kids for at least a few years. She is good at what she does, and I want her to be independent even after marriage, in case something happens to me. We had a big argument, and she feels that I am an a-hole to want her to work after marriage when we can afford for her to stay at home. On one hand, what she makes is not going to affect our finances. However, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I have never heard of anyone leaving their job to plan the wedding. Is stay-at-home fiance really a thing? I want to support her and make her life comfortable, but I'm feeling quitting her career is a little too early for her age. Now, here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "Nobody is the a-hole here. You just need to go to counseling and iron out how finances and work are going to look in your marriage." i.e., do you want to fully support her or not? These are make or break things in a marriage. Better to work them out now. Thanks. She has a college degree, and I really want her to not be codependent on me. This can be addressed in counseling or more communication. Then user 2 said, not the a-hole. The fact that she went from an independent, capable adult to wanting to be your dependent after she found out how much you make is a huge concern. If she was willing to throw away her own career for this perceived easy life, that doesn't bode well for you if she'll stick with you if you ever lost the ability to pull such a high salary. What concerned me was she waited until we got engaged and then told me about this. I just wanted opinions on if anyone else has observed this and how they dealt with the situation. And finally, user 3 said, have her signed a prenuptial agreement. Also, what is she planning on doing with her days after the wedding and before you have kids? We already have a prenup signed before engagement. Update. I posted here last week because I thought the term stay-at-home fiancé was funny and thought it would make a few of you chuckle. After thousands of you calling her a gold digger, I thought it was time for a serious talk and understand why she wanted to quit her job. I was able to gather my thoughts and was able to have a conversation with her. On Friday night, we ordered in and had a nice dinner. I again brought up the subject of why she wanted to quit her job. I tried to be supportive and not act like an a-hole when asking the questions. Initially, she went all defensive about why she wanted to stay home, and started talking about how it would not matter since she barely made enough to contribute to our relationship. I tried to explain it to her that it was not just about the money. I told her how hardworking and talented she is in her field, and she has worked very hard to finally get a position where she is helping with event management for such a large organization. I also talked about the fact that although I make good money, I have just been working for a few years, and we do not have enough savings where if something happens to me, she will be taken care of. I told her about my fears that having a large salary means I have the biggest target on my back when it comes to layoffs. Overall, I think I was able to get my point across on why I feel she should not give up on her career at the age of 26. She agreed with most of the things I said. She told me that she was overwhelmed with all the things that needed to be done before our wedding. She commented on how I am really bad at organizing tasks, and she will have to handle many of the things on her own. Our parents insist that we get married this year, and it's a very short time frame to plan everything. She said that she feels burnt out at work and barely has any energy left at the end of the week after running around everywhere, and sometimes traveling to different cities. Her exact complaint was her boss treated her like a work mule, and it was degrading to do all the work for barely any money. Hence, she wants to avoid the work stress and plan for the wedding from a happy place. She promised that she would start looking for work once we are done with our wedding and honeymoon trip. However, she does not want to work in a role that she is currently working in, and wants a job with more predictable hours. She also talked about going back to school and getting her master's. She insisted that she did not want to be a trophy wife, and I jokingly pointed out that she at the best qualifies for a consolation trophy. She laughed, but I don't think she was happy with that, but I think that was fair, and she plans to resign late this week. Hopefully, she will be able to enjoy the days off and re-energize before the wedding. As for all of the gold digger comments, I understand where you are coming from. I grew up poor, and I make an effort to never show off what I have to a fault because not everyone in the family has got what I have. She fell into that version of me. If I trust her enough to get married to her, then I also have to trust my perception of her. For me, she is the smartest, hardest working, independent person who frankly does not care about stuff. Granted, she got a nice engagement ring and was excited to show it around. However, most of my colleagues' spouses also have nicer rings. Overall, sorry for such a stupid, non-entertaining update. Glad we were able to talk about it and move on. And finally, here are some more relevant comments. User 1 said, "You lost any credibility when you said that your parents are insisting on you getting married this year. I can't take you seriously as a successful adult if mommy and daddy are telling you what to do." Then user 2 said, "Hire a wedding planner. Who quits their job to plan a wedding? OP, she doesn't want to work anymore and is setting you up for a world of hurt. Get a prenup and make sure you both use birth control." So, what do you guys think, fellow viewers, plural? Those last two comments were really cynical, but I mean, they are possibilities. We just have to be truthful that these could be possibilities. She might not want to go back to work, but also at the same time, she could be telling the truth. I understand not wanting to be the boss's mule and work unpredictable hours and make such little pay for how hard she works, so I get that. But from my perspective, and maybe I'm being naive, but from what I've read head, I feel like I am inclined to believe the fiance. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Maybe there's some details that are missing. But from what I have seen, I personally feel inclined to believe her only after that second conversation happened. But you guys are free to disagree, but I'm curious what you guys have to say. But, you know, you think she's trying to get that money? You think she's trying to jip him or something like that? Wait, hold on. Wait, he said that they had a prenup. So he mentioned that they have a prenup. So I don't know. But what do you guys think? Thank you all so much for watching the video, and the video will end in about 5 seconds. Bye-bye.